The best part about LaGrange I look at is because, like Norman said, with the location, being able to go to Alabama, being able to go to Atlanta, Columbus, that location is the taxes are lower here, so lower, the cost of living is lower. But what I hear from people that I know that lived here before I moved is that there's no entertainment, there's nothing to do here. You know, it's good that we did get TJ Maxx, so I don't have to drive all over the place to go to TJ Maxx. But I would like to know what are your plans to make it more attractive to live here? And when I think about, because I work in Newnan, you think about the city of homes, and you think about like going to Wardowley to the lake. What is it that's attractive here in LaGrange that would convince people to be here? What can we do to market that? What are your plans?
You mentioned taxes. City of LaGrange doesn't have property taxes, and they think that's a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing because the tax burden for this area is on the poor people. Poor people have a propensity to spend. Rich people have a propensity to save. They save their money. They don't spend their money proportionally. Poor people have to spend every penny they get. There's no property tax, so the rich people don't pay their fair share of taxes. It might be attractive to rich people, but it's not very attractive to people that can't take advantage of that. So I think that hurts the community when you don't have a property tax. There's things you can't do because you don't have the funds to do it with. For example, keeping these neighborhood schools open. And I don't think we need to go around handing out corporate welfare to big companies to get them to come in here. Because what happens is they don't pay their taxes, and we start closing schools down. 3 schools, this used to be a school, this is closed down. The 3 schools in the past year or so have been closed in LaGrange. These neighborhood schools couldn't stay open if we gave them tax money. We don't. I pay my taxes, all of you pay your taxes, Kia doesn't pay their taxes, the suppliers don't pay their taxes. So we have sweatshops that come to LaGrange.
I noticed they've been talking about economic development, but no one has said or spoke about in a couple of 3 years. It's in the progress now. The amphitheater up there where those swimming pool used to be, no one said that's finna be developed. And an amphitheater and a whole bunch of stuff. Are any of y'all familiar with that?
I mean, I'm definitely familiar with that. What Commissioner English is referring to is the Boyd Park Amphitheater, which is the location where the old city pool is at the top of Church Street, up on Smith Street. And this project was actually included by the county commissioners in the city in the SPLOST project that was, in the SPLOST project it was just funded, it was voted on by the voters 2 years ago, I believe. And so in a combination of funding through the Calla-way Foundation, through the SPLOST, and through some in-kind work from the city of LaGrange, within the next few months, they'll be breaking ground on an amphitheater at Boyd Park that will be a 1,200-seat outdoor amphitheater, which will hopefully attract bands, country acts, rock and roll acts, etc., that will bring 1,200 seating capacity, as well as I think it's an additional 1,000 long seating capacity. And that's something that the city council members have seen plans for, so I know Ms. Tucker can speak to this as well. This is something that we have all seen the plans for and are real excited about for the city and for the downtown area.
I think the priorities in LaGrange are kind of upside down. Do we really need an amphitheater when people, especially on the south side of town, don't have a way to get around? Do we need a fancy hotel on the square when people can't get there? If you try to go from LaGrange College to the hospital, you can't hardly get there when somebody wants to turn left on Jefferson Street. The traffic backs up 2 or 3 blocks in both directions. If you go out there at sometimes 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, especially on a Friday, an ambulance trying to get to the hospital has got a heck of a time getting through there. And it's all because of these people that have controlled the drains for so long. I was here probably 25, 30 years ago when we had the project going up Franklin Road, New Franklin Road. It was widened. There was projects on Lafayette Parkway, that was widened. Proposals by the Department of Transportation would do the same thing with Vernon Street, but the power said no, so it didn't happen. So you have this problem with congestion. I would rather take this money that may be wasted on this amphitheater idea and this fancy hotel and straighten out the congestion. We could put 5 lanes down through there, knock down those 2 white pillars, and have some real progressive transportation. The money that we're going to spend on these 2 projects could easily put 5 lanes down through those 4, 5, 6 blocks and start a good public transportation system for the people of the Grange that really need it. I don't need an amphitheater. I don't need a fancy hotel. And if you bring in another 2,000 people here on a Saturday night, one of them gets drunk out there and falls over or something, gets hurt, how are they going to get to the hospital? You got to go all the way around the south side of the road. So we need that Vernon Street fixed, and we need to bypass around LaGrange. Those are much more important than these little, I would call these silly projects. Transportation needs to be taken care of. We need to bypass, and we need to straighten out Vernon Street. And guess what? The bypass that we should have and haven't had goes through what? Calla-way property. If you look at the city map, City of LaGrange, this is what it looks like. This is the city. And then you got this crazy looking thing up in the northwest part of the town. This is county right here. The rest of it is LaGrange. This is all Calla-way property. We should put the bypass right through there. That would be the best use of that property. We can have good transportation. We can have parks. We can have greens. Guess what? There's lakes back out in there. There's all kinds of stuff that the city could use. And if they're good citizens of the city, why wouldn't they cooperate with that?
Okay, we're going to make this our last question. You can make it quick, please.
I'm Nathan Gaston with the NAACP, Chairman of Legal Redress. And, we had a good laugh at what Mike had to say. And I can appreciate that. However, it's not that funny. And I'm going to tell you why. That is protectionism that is taking place in this county, in this city. There are certain people whose property and livelihoods get protected while others are forced to suffer. My question, and I'm going to get to this point real quick. Under the Horace King Bridge, in the past 5 years, you've had 2 African Americans, 1 white female found dead. There was another white male that was killed over in the Thomastown area. All of these are unsolved homicides. And my question is, when you have a police chief who is responsible for protecting the citizens, who's protecting the poor citizens?
The system is not fair. So one problem is trust, and the trust is made worse by this war on drugs that I mentioned. It's crazy, it doesn't work, it's racially motivated, it's unfairly administered. White people and black people and Hispanics use at the same rate. They're not treated the same. people that go to jail are black, most of them are black, and then Hispanic, very few whites. There's a distrust between blacks and whites. It's reinforced by the whole system. It's reinforced by a foundation who kept, or which kept, segregation going in LaGrange until 1993. So what do you expect? I mean, we need fairness. We don't need the distrust. We need equity in the police department, fire department, in the government. We need fairness in the courts. We need fairness all around, and we're not getting it. I don't know if the city mayor can change much, but he can talk about it, certainly, and bring these things to the surface. It's not fair. It's not right. It's been going on too long. Locally, the problem that I see with LaGrange is addicted to Calla-way and Calla-way's money. It's not a good situation when everything that's done locally has to be approved by some nefarious group that has run LaGrange for the past 100 years. This addiction to money is harmful, just like any addiction, and we need to have some way of cut that cord so that the people can run LaGrange the people's way, not the Calla-way. If you want change, you need people that are interested in change. And I'm interested in change. Fundamental change, changing things like the war against drugs. It's not a war against drugs, it's a racist, motivated war. It began by Nixon for racial reasons, and it's continued that way. It doesn't appear to be that on surface, but the results are, and the underlying motivations are racist. And we need to change that. We can do that. We can start here by making marijuana possession an offense that can be ticketable rather than something you go to jail for. There's just no sense in putting people in jail for that. Thank you.